Sun in the fourth house. Welcome to Sun in the fourth house in Synastry. In this overlay, we explore what happens when one person's sun, their core identity, vitality, sense of self, and life force, falls into another person's fourth house, the house of home, roots, family of origin, emotional foundations, intimacy, and the private self that exists beneath all public presentation. Where the third house governs the mind's movement through the world, the fourth house governs the place the mind returns to. It is the territory of ancestry and inheritance, of childhood and its lasting imprint of the walls, literal and psychological, within which a person allows themselves to be unguarded. When someone's sun lands here, it does not arrive at the surface, it arrives at the interior, and that is a different kind of encounter entirely. The sun person brings their identity, their vitality, and their essential way of being directly into the space where the house person is most private, most unformed, and most themselves. They do not meet the house person's curated self. They meet what lives underneath it. This is among the most intimate of all synastry overlays, and its intimacy is not the kind that announces itself. It is the quiet, accumulating kind that only becomes apparent in retrospect. From the house person's perspective, the sun person may feel, from very early on, like someone familiar. Not familiar in the sense of having met before, but familiar in the older sense, as if their presence belongs in a space that has always been reserved for very few. There can be a quality of homecoming in this connection that is difficult to articulate, and even more difficult to resist. The house person may find themselves lowering defenses that ordinarily take years to come down, not because they have made a conscious decision to do so, but because something in the sun person's presence simply does not trigger the usual wariness. This is significant, and it carries both gift and risk. The gift is access to a depth of connection that many people spend years searching for and never quite find. The risk is speed. The fourth house dissolves distance in ways that can outpace judgment, and the house person may find themselves emotionally committed to a depth that the relationship has not yet earned through time and experience. The feeling of recognition is real, but it does not guarantee compatibility. It is worth holding both things at once. The sun person, for their part, often feels an unusual sense of ease in this connection. They may not immediately understand why this person draws out a quality of warmth and openness in them that other relationships do not, but the ease is genuine. There is something in the house person's receptivity, in the way they make the sun person feel that their presence is not just welcome, but genuinely wanted, that is deeply nourishing. The sun, which ordinarily must assert itself to be seen, finds here a space in which it is simply received. This can lead the sun person to bring more of themselves into the relationship than they typically would, more quickly than they typically would. Their identity, in this context, expands rather than contracts. They may share things with the house person that they have not shared elsewhere, not because they planned to, but because the quality of the space invited it. The fourth house, when it opens to someone, has a way of drawing out confession. Family and the past become significant themes in this overlay. The fourth house carries the imprint of origin, the home one grew up in, the emotional atmosphere one was shaped by, the patterns of relating that were absorbed before they could be consciously examined. The sun person's presence activates this territory, which means that old material will tend to surface in this relationship. This is not the sun person's doing, in the sense of intention, but it is, in a real sense, their presence doing it. For the house person, this can be healing. The sun illuminates the fourth house, and illumination of the past, of the places where old wounds have been sitting quietly in the dark, can initiate a process of genuine resolution. If the sun person meets what surfaces with steadiness and warmth, the house person may find that this relationship becomes one of the most therapeutically significant of their life, not in a formal sense, but in the way that certain connections simply reach places that others cannot. The risk is the reverse, that what surfaces is met with discomfort, impatience, or withdrawal. The fourth house material is old and often not fully conscious. It does not arrive in neat, explicable form. If the sun person is not equipped to sit with that, or if their own unexamined history is activated by what the house person brings up, the connection can become destabilizing rather than healing. Two people's deepest material meeting in an uncontained space is not always manageable, however strong the original warmth. The home environment tends to become a meaningful site in this overlay. Whether the two people share a physical space or not, there is a quality to being in domestic proximity with the sun person that the house person experiences as distinctly charged. The sun person in the house person's home is not simply a guest. They alter the atmosphere of the space in a way the house person will notice. This can feel like enrichment, a sense that the home comes alive in a way it does not otherwise. Or it can feel like intrusion, a sense that a private space has been entered more deeply than feels entirely comfortable. Over time, questions of domestic life and shared foundation may become prominent. The fourth house is the natural territory of building a home with another person. Not just a physical home, but a shared emotional ground. The sun person will feel this pull, consciously or not. Their identity, in the context of this relationship, orients itself toward permanence. They may find themselves thinking in terms of future and continuity in a way that other connections do not provoke. At its highest expression, this overlay creates a relationship in which both people feel profoundly at home in each other's presence. The sun person finds a context in which their identity is not something that must be performed or defended, but simply inhabited. The house person finds a presence that illuminates and honors the deepest parts of themselves, the parts that are rarely seen, and rarer still to be seen with genuine warmth. There is a quality of safety here that is not passivity or complacency, but the particular safety that comes from being known. When this works well, there is a sense that the relationship is a place, not just a connection between two people, but an actual territory that both inhabit and that belongs to both of them. At its core, Sun in the fourth house in synastry is about where we feel at home in another person and what we are finally willing to let be seen when we do.
This was Sun in the fourth house in synastry overlays. Thank you for listening. Next, Sun in the fifth house.